One of the cool things about being a creative is I could come up with ideas and like do them the same day, even if they may not be good. So we're gonna flesh this out and see how it goes. But before we get into your questions, drop the intro.
I don't need nothing else. Every time I'm with you, yo, it's something else. It's a fact, and it's nothing else. Got your hand out, you don't even need the help. Ooh, I don't need nothing else. Every time I'm with you, yo, it's something else. It's a fact, and it's nothing else. Got your hand out, you don't even need the help. Ooh, that's right. I don't need nothing else. That's right.
What's going on? It's Ruslan with KingsDreamENT.com. This channel exists to encourage, empower, inspire you to live out God's dream for your life. And I am live right now on YouTube, hanging out with some of you guys, doing some Q&A. If you're watching this live, I want to hear where you're watching this from because I care and I'm a good guy. So listen, I had this idea. I was like, man, what if I did a series where I asked the audience to ask me questions and I answered their questions in a live format, or maybe not a live format. I chopped them down and dropped them as individual videos. Would it be helpful? Would it be beneficial? I don't know, but we're gonna try it tonight. We're gonna have a good time. We're not gonna go very long. I put this out on Instagram. You should follow me on Instagram, on Twitter. You should be following me on Twitter, and of course on the YouTube community tab, which is super booming. And I put it out everywhere except my Patreon community. Shout out to the Patreon community. We do a live Q&A on Zoom chat every single Sunday night, where if you want to hop in and ask me a personal, not a personal question, but a question face-to-face in like a video Zoom chat, you could do that. But I wanted to mix it up and do something that just was kind of for the general community to build that connection and kind of better understand what people are asking of me. You know what I mean? And so we're going to do some of your guys' questions. I'm keeping an eye on the chat. Shout out to all you guys watching the chat. We got a lot of people. Boston, Baton Rouge, Florida, New York, Texas, Connecticut, D.C. My man Canvas is pressing me to make sure I'm done before the Andrew Yang town hall speech tonight. I'm with you, bro. I want to see Andrew Yang too. So look, I got this cool white backdrop Canvas. You'll see it when you come visit later on this month, or is it this month or next month you come in? It doesn't matter. And we're gonna be, you'll see the backdrop. And I was like, man, I gotta like use some of this space more efficiently. So that's where the idea for the Q&A came from. So I'm gonna be doing some question and answer. Might record it, may not. Okay. And a quick announcement. The last Saturday of the month, Leap Day 2020, Saturday, February 29th, we're doing a special event at Culture Barber Lounge in Oceanside, California. Canvas, I specifically picked that date because I knew you and Berg would be out here in that window of time. And we're going to be doing a live Q&A, pop-up shop, brand new merch, live interview with Taper Tage, who is an amazing entrepreneur, street hustler turned entrepreneur, crazy story. And it's going to be our first one with a live audience. So if you're anywhere near Southern California, you should be there. I'm getting a text saying the stream froze. Did the stream really freeze? Let's see. I think your stream froze, Canvas, because everybody else is live, man. So yours did. I'm texting back. This fool Canvas is on the live, and he's texting me at the same time. So let's get into some of y'all questions, huh? Okay, so those of you guys in the chat, I will get to some of your guys' questions. And, oh, this is a good one. Let's open up with this one. Sani, you may or may not like this one. Shout out to my niece, Dasani. Yes, Dasani like the water, because you guys are going to ask. You guys will probably start seeing her pop up in some of the content whenever she is comfortable enough, or not. She shot the fitness vlog, which was super cool. And let's get into this one. Okay, this is good. JD, since you're live here with me, I'm going to answer your question. Okay, so Sani, hit the record feature, and let's see if we can get the laptop to handle the recording and the streaming. Keep an eye on the CPU usage. You see it says in the bottom tab, all the way at the very bottom, it says CPU. That shouldn't go over 50. What percentage is it at right now?
It's over 50.
Okay, so turn that off. Yeah, turn that off. We'll just, yeah, that's all good. Okay, we're going to ask this question right now. Ruslan, how you doing, fam? Yo, I'm 29 and I'm saving myself until marriage, and I find it difficult navigating the conversation with the woman I'm dating now. Any advice for the convo? Wow, that is a heavy question. Out the gate, you 29, saving yourself for marriage, brother. Salute to you, man. That's very commendable. I'm proud of you. Keep going. I think if the conversation of you saving yourself, I'm assuming this is a dude because his name is JD, the you saving yourself, I'm curious as to why the conversation is tough to navigate, right? So then my mind goes to, is the person you're dating and pursuing, do they have the same value system as you? Do they have the same faith as you? Do they have the same worldview as you? They say the three things you should be agreeing on to prevent divorce, right? And I was going to get super deep real quick, but we're just going to dive right in. Okay, the three things you should be aligned on. You don't got to perfectly agree on, but you should be aligned on before you get married, okay? And it is super important. The first thing is how you see God and your faith, right? That's very important. The scriptures tell us don't be equally yoked. Yoked meaning that if two oxen, they want to be equal. If one of them is stronger than another one doing all the work, they're going to go in circles. So boom, be equally yoked. Be equally partnered with people, right? In your worldview. The second is have a plan for your money. Do you guys agree on money? Are you guys going to take out a bunch of student loans? Are you guys going to take out a bunch of car notes? Are you guys going to take out, do you borrow money? Do you save money? Who's the spender? Are you guys on a budget, right? So you got to agree on money. And the third, probably the most important one, is do you guys agree on your in-laws? Where are you doing the holidays? Are your in-laws allowed to drop in whenever they feel like it, right? This is the three things they say that if you could figure out these three things, at least get to a place where you're aligned. You don't got to agree on what are your boundaries with your in-laws, what are your boundaries with faith, with money, and then what is your faith alignment? If one person's a hardcore Christian, the other person isn't, it's not probably going to work. Like, where are the kids going to go to Sunday school? If the person that isn't a Christian, are they willing to go to church? Are they willing to let the kids be raised Christian, right? Those are the questions you got to ask yourself. So those are the top three things that I think you have to be aligned on. And so when you say this person, it's tough to navigate a conversation on, waiting until marriage, I would say, why? Why is it? Because if you're not aligned on faith, you may not be aligned on a lot of other issues, and you might want to be. So I would dig a little deeper beneath the surface, man. And I am not for missionary dating. I'm not for people trying to save people through dating. I think if you're dating and one person gets saved, you should, and that's different. If you're dating and if you're already married and one person's saved, one person's not saved, that's different. But if you're openly Holy Spirit filled, Jesus believing, literal resurrection Christian, and this other person isn't, it's kind of complicated, or if you're like, hey, I believe the Bible to be God's word and God's standard, inspired word of God, and the other person's like, yeah, maybe, I don't think God really meant that. You know what I mean? You're gonna run into more issues than problems. You're gonna run into more issues than solutions. So I would just be careful and examine that. I don't have any tips for you on how to navigate that conversation. I think the deeper conversation is, do you guys have the same worldview? And then, because if this is a problem, what about when their in-laws have an expectation of you to fly cross country and spend every single Christmas with them? That happens all the time. What about holidays? What about kids? Are they going to be dictating? Is she going to go and vent to her parents when you guys have issues, right? This is stuff that like really happens. And if you're not aligned on faith, and that's not like a standard, the rest of this stuff is going to really fall apart, in my opinion, or has the potential to fall apart. Let me not speak that over your future relationship. So hopefully that was helpful. Okay, let's get into some more questions. I think this is fruitful, in my opinion. I'm gonna go to the community tab on YouTube. We got a couple questions there. Let's see what we got. Let's see. This is a good question. Roy Hernandez asked, how do you balance your business/creative endeavors and family relationships? Do you have a schedule you follow every day? This is a great question. We talk about this question all the time. Me and my artist friends talked about the question. The balance between being an entrepreneur and being a family man, or having a wife and a kid, or whatever, your other responsibilities. And this is the tough part about being an entrepreneur, is if you're married and you're an entrepreneur, you got a family as an entrepreneur, every time you're working, sometimes your spirit is like uneasy and you feel like you should be spending more time with your family. It's in the back of your head like, oh man, should I be spending time with my family right now because I'm working? And then every time you're spending time with your family, you feel like you should be working. It's this weird tension that you constantly live in. And so I don't believe in balance. I'll tell you that right now. My pastor talks about this. I believe in stewardship and management. I believe in managing my time. I believe in managing my household. I believe in managing my money. I'm big on management. So I don't know if I believe in balance as much as I believe in having some non-negotiables that you have to deliver on every single day, right? Non-negotiables. They're like deliverables, but you got to get them done, okay? For me, my non-negotiables are every single night, bedtime. I'm doing bedtime every night, no matter what. I may have missed one or two in the last month, but by and large, bedtime, no matter what. 7 o'clock, I'm done doing whatever I'm doing. I try not to plan any meetings. I try not to be in the studio. Bedtime. Well, why bedtime? Well, bedtime, me and Levi usually fight and do our suplexes and wrestling moves on each other. It's super fun. One of us usually ends up getting hurt. He likes to like choke me really hard, like to the point where I've almost passed out a couple times, and he's almost 5. I'm serious. The kid is super strong. So we get to fight. We get to wrestle. We brush our teeth together. That right there, my evening routine. That helps with my evening routine because I floss and brush my teeth. I know some of you guys don't really value flossing and brushing your teeth, but take care of your freaking mental hygiene, dental hygiene, and your mental hygiene. So 1, we get to wrestle. 2, we get to brush our teeth. 3, we get to read a book. 4, we get to read the Bible. Usually some type of meaningful conversation comes from that. And then I get to pray for him, or we get to pray together for non-Christians in our life that we want to see get saved. We get to pray for his friends and family that he, wants God to bless. And it's a really special time. That last hour of the day is very special. So that's a non-negotiable for me. And usually after that is me and Monette, my wife, we just hang out, we chill, we Netflix and chill. Lately, it's been Amazon Prime and chill. We've been watching Suits. There's like 9 seasons of it, so it never runs out. Our issue is our shows always run out, and then like when there's not a show that we're watching together, I tend to go and work, and I'm gonna pick a series with 9 seasons. It's just never gonna run out, right? And so we've been watching Suits lately, and that's just kind of our time to unwind, hang out. Sometimes maybe I'm getting a little bit of work done. Like if she has her laptop in, she's getting some work done. Then maybe I'll get some work done. But for the most part, we're just unwinding, we're hanging out. So those are my non-negotiables. That's how it looks like in my life. My goal for 2020 is to not do any traveling without my family. That's another one of my non-negotiables. I'm working towards that. In terms of people that want to fly me out for shows, non-negotiable, you got to cover 4 flights, right? And so I just try and have non-negotiables. And then in my business, I try to have non-negotiables. So my non-negotiables have been for the past couple months, every single day there's a video uploaded to YouTube. No matter what, no excuses. I may have missed a day here or there. No matter what, a video is getting uploaded. Hence why I'm doing a new series. So I always have videos. I batch shoot my content. No matter what, non-negotiables. I get to the gym every day, non-negotiable. That is a non-negotiable. I'm getting my butt to the gym, right? So I usually try to do something creative musically. I'll get in the studio, I'll make a beat, I'll work on a mix, something like that. And I try to call or FaceTime somebody and try to text with somebody. Those are my non-negotiables every single day. There would be, if you're working a corporate job, you would have deliverables. I have non-negotiables. So I don't believe in balance. I believe in management, and management to me just works by non-negotiables. So YouTube every single day. Lately, past week, TikTok every single day. And the TikTok is just such a weird animal, man. I uploaded 2 videos today I thought was going to do well. One of them got 2,000 views. One of them was like under 200 views. I'm just striking out on TikTok. But I'm just non-negotiables. I'm going to keep making these daggone TikTok videos. I'm not going to punk out. I'm not going to tap out because they're not getting as many views as I want. It's like, bro, I got videos that I, on accident, got 40,000 views. I'm going to keep working. So balance, to answer your question, set some non-negotiables for your life. Non-negotiables is just a great principle to live by. So let me check out how we're doing in the chat. Sorry, guys, I haven't been paying attention to you guys. Oh, we got a good amount of people in here. All right. Let's see. We're doing to be a pop-up dinner. Mind if I use your music for it? From the song Take Me Back featuring Gracie, do you know if she has more music? I don't know if Gracie has more music out. Let me know if you guys got any other questions on the YouTube. I'm going to go back into... I'm going to go and check if we have anything inside of Facebook. You guys should be following me on Facebook. I posted this on Facebook. Let's see if there's anything on Facebook. All right, here we go. Knowing what you know now. Oh, this is from my question by Christopher. I don't know how to say his last name on Facebook. Knowing what you know now and having grown in your art, if you had to redo any project, which would you pick? That's a great question. That's an easy one. I kind of did redo it in a way. I put out a record at the end of 2013. At the beginning of 2013 called Carry On. There's an LP version, which was not good. And then I took it and chopped it down and made an EP version, which was not as terrible, but it was, it was decent. And I was in a process of just rushing through the record. I did the biggest mistake I did, which is I announced the release date and I announced the album release party before I had the album done. Don't ever do that. Don't ever set a date for something that you don't have finished. It's just terrible. If you got a product, get the product done before you plan to release it. I did that and I rushed the last bit of the album and I wasn't happy with it, but I put it out because I had this huge House of Blues show planned. We sold 600 tickets and my set was terrible and the album wasn't good. And Andy Mineo called me and Ray Rock called me and they told me it wasn't good and laughed at me. And it was really bad. It was like a really bad learning experience. And I remember like, yo, this is the largest amount of tickets I had sold. I think to date, I don't think I've sold more than 600 tickets. And it was probably one of my weakest, if not, definitely my weakest San Diego show, and in celebration of my weakest album that I then ended up taking off of iTunes and re-uploading a 6-7 song version called called Carry On with freaking Lecrae was on it, JR was on it. Like I had some really solid features on it and it was just a complete L. So yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. All right, we're going back in. Let's see. We got, let's see how the chat's doing. Chat, you still with us, chat? Live chat? Where'd you get that red hat? Where did I get the red hat? I don't know. Some like dollar store or something like that. Is it that lit? How could we send merch to rep? Don't send merch to rep. I probably won't rep it unless you got a bag or the merch is like amazing. Probably won't rep it. Why? Because I'm wearing my own merch. I'm wearing an Outlier hoodie. Goodness gracious. I'm trying to sell my own merch out here in these streets. No, we will never make a music video for showbiz. Where have you been? More serious question. Okay, here we go. More serious question. It's a more serious question. Right out of YouTube and then we're going to Instagram. More serious question. How would you define purpose and God's will for life as Christians? That's a great question. How would you define God's purpose and will for Christians? This is actually a fairly simple question, and I've said this before, and if you've paid attention, posted in Instagram comments. We all have this grand plan of what we think God's purpose is for our life. And so we're all like, ooh, what am I supposed to be? Am I supposed to be a world famous rapper? Ooh, am I supposed to be an Instagram model? Ooh, am I supposed to be the president of the United States? Hey, if Trump is president, I could be president. Andrew Yang is running for president. Maybe I could be, God, are you calling me to be president? Right? And we have these like wild, grandiose visions. I'm not saying God can't call you to any of those things. He can call you to be an Instagram influencer, model, YouTuber, whatever, right? But the issue is we are looking for the end result when most of life and anything you're going to be successful in, whether that's marriage, whether that's family, whether that's fitness, is in the process. It's in the process of working through these intangible variables that we all get to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So, how do you know God's will for your life? How do you know what God's dream is for your life? Hello, what God's purpose is for your life, what God's vision is for your life? You first align yourself with living your life God's way. What does that look like? Well, that's an endless pursuit, right? Because we know that we're sinners, we're fallen, we're created in the image of God, but there's this tension that we live in and that we know we're not perfect. We know society is not perfect. So how do you discover God's will and God's perfect will, God's purpose for your life? You follow God's ways of living. Are you living God's way? The purpose of the Christian is to live their life the way Jesus would have them live their life, to lead their life the way Jesus would have them lead their life. Holistically, in your finances, in your relationships, in your friendships, in your marriage, right? In your local church community, in how you treat people and how you treat non-Christians and how you treat people far from God, is to live your life God's way. And I'm always on a quest to discover more and more about how God would have me do different things in my life. How does God want me to treat people who don't know him? How am I supposed to love people? How am I supposed to lay down my life? What is God's heart for my money? Am I supposed to hoard it all and keep it close, or am I supposed to have an open mentality with money? If you live your life God's way, you will always be in God's will. And through the process of living God's way, you will probably discover the things God has deposited in your heart, things that God has made you passionate about, to drive you to find that purpose. And it's not any single one thing. If you would have asked me this 10 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, I'm going to make it as a rapper and it's going to be lit. And it's like, yeah, like rapping is just a vehicle for me now. I have multiple vehicles. YouTube, I have the vehicle of YouTube. I have the vehicle of merch, live events, all kinds of different vehicles for me to communicate the things that God has placed on my heart. I'm growing more and more fond of fitness and health and all these different things, right? So there's multiple vehicles for me, and it's not one singular thing. And so I think that is the way I would approach it, is to define the Christian's purpose, I would say that it's living your life God's way to bring glory to him, to bring honor to him, and to know him. So let's see. I definitely am planning to bring Rufat on the channel again. If you guys don't know who Rufat is one of my close friends who is a Christian rapper turned atheist comedian. The past 2 clips that I've had that have gone semi-viral on TikTok are from conversations I've had with Rufat. I've had him on the channel, I think 2 or 3 times. Last time the interview actually got lost, unfortunately. He was saying some wild stuff too, but we just didn't make it. And yeah, I'm definitely having Rufat on. Conversation super cool. I think above all else, I love learning from people. I love learning different perspectives. And 2, I want you guys to see how you can have people in your life that you disagree with on like the most important of things and still be in relationship with them and have community with them and love them and learn from them. And so I will definitely be having Rufat on the channel. What are some of your hobbies besides the music industry? I love fitness, health, eating healthy. I'm learning to cook more and more healthier meals. I promise you, if you ever hang out with me and eat some of the food I eat, I think it's some of the bombest food. My niece, Dasani, may or may not agree, depending on how undercooked or overcooked the bison is. But I end up eating a lot of bison, a lot of sweet potatoes, and just discovering like highly nutrient-dense foods that taste good and are good for you. So that is one of my hobbies outside of music. I really enjoy doing that. So let's see. Being a father, do you learn anything? This is a good question, Zaire. Shout out to Zaire, man. Being a father, do you learn anything from your son? Yes, I learn a lot from my son, actually. I learn the simple things, like his degree of faith and his degree of just his desire to know God and love God. I learn that from him, and I think that's super powerful. I think I learn empathy from my son. My son is very empathetic. He's very sensitive. He's very generous. He loves giving. He loves spending time and hanging out. And so I learned that from him. And then on a very tangible, practical level, Levi learns a lot from shows like Wildcrats and this and that. And he's telling me stuff about different planets, about, what planets are in our solar system and what is the fastest land animal in Africa. And like, literally, I'm learning information from him all the time. He knows, I was not a good, like, I think I'm a semi-smart guy, but I was not a great student. And he like knows like all these different shapes and, so I learned a lot of stuff from my son. And then there's also the side of yourself that you're not super comfortable with, that you need some refining in, and you see that in your kids because more is caught than taught. So you'll see that come out and you're like, okay, well, part of this is their own nature, sinful nature, and then a part of this is also like they probably have learned this behavior from me, and you get confronted with that and you're seeing a reflection of yourself. So there's a lot I think parents can learn from their kids, man. And so I'm always learning. I'm always trying to grow and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. There's 2 more good questions. Okay, somebody asked me, why do I support Andrew Yang? Why do I support Andrew Yang? Great question. I support Andrew Yang because I think out of all the potential candidates, his candidates and his policies, in my opinion, reflect a biblical worldview the most, even though I don't even know if he's a Christian or not. I know his wife is a Christian. And so if we're looking holistically about what's happening in the economy and what's happening with automation and jobs being lost and jobs being shipped overseas, and all these different things that are on the way, self-driving vehicles, right? This stuff is coming in 20, 30, 40 years. There's a thing on Twitter that people started getting flagged for was when people were struggling financially, people would be like, learn to code boomer, right? Learn to code boomer. And it was like a very hard, cold thing to tell factory workers who are boomers to be like, well, just learn to code. And so I think what he's trying to do in presenting the UBI and give people a universal basic income or a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month will increase entrepreneurship. It'll decrease poverty. It'll decrease all the things that I don't want to see in society, crime, suicide, substance abuse, by creating I think is going to be a cushion for poor people to level up and figure out what they want to do. It gives people choices, right? Unlike some of these other policies that are that are trying to create federal jobs for everybody, right? It's kind of like some of Bernie's policies, or universal health care, pushing that over and over, or a lot of Trump's policies, tax cuts for some of the wealthiest and the biggest corporations. I don't know if they need more tax cuts, right? I think sometimes they get overtaxed, but I don't know if we need to cut more taxes. I don't like some of those policies. I think some of those have benefited me as an entrepreneur. And so I think Andrew Yang has the most empathetic, humanity first approach, and I think he's an outsider. I don't think he's a career politician, and I like that about him. I like that he is he's just a genuine entrepreneur, and so that's why I support him. And in terms of the biggest pushback that a lot of people have with Andrew Yang specifically is that he's a Democrat. Most Democrats are pro-choice, and the way I would answer that is I would go back and look at the history of how the pro-life versus pro-choice movement even started. And I'll give you a couple hints. It didn't start at Roe v. Wade and the people that finessed it. There's a documentary on Netflix, and you could just look up like the religious right, and it actually comes from some very dark, manipulative twisting of societal norms that just years and years after Roe v. Wade passed, then some specific politicians took hold of it and just kind of finessed it to get evangelicals to vote for specific candidates. And prior to that, that wasn't really a thing. They were really just trying to get Jimmy Carter out of there. So do your history and do your own research. If you're like one single issue voter, I'm only pro-life. I'm pro-life, but I think if somebody has other policies that make sense, I'm going to consider those. And then two, I think Andrew Yang's policy at a net rate will actually decrease abortion because it'll decrease the number of unwanted pregnancies because it will increase the amount of money we're putting in people's hands. And you could also look up Andrew Yang, UBI, inflation, that won't be a thing. There's just a lot of different things that you can look up. So do your own research on Andrew Yang, do your own Googleables. Is that a word? Googleables. Let's see, make sure I'm not skipping anything over here. What do you think is going to continue to rise as the main source of income for CHH? Conferences have went away, streams, tours, etc. I think the main thing we're going to see from CHH artists is hopefully better merch. I think merch is the best way that anybody can make money right now. And as we see more and more merch come up, and just better merch, better quality merch, you guys like to buy merch, so shout out to you guys. And that's probably the best way you could support your favorite CHH artists, is buy their merch, and when they do come to town, pull up to their show. So hopefully we'll see more merch sales, and we'll see more you guys coming out to shows. I mean, even if it's 45 minutes away, $20, like go buy the ticket, go support. See what I'm saying? All right, I'm gonna hop on Instagram. We got a couple questions on Instagram. So let's see. How do I get to these? All right, here we go. Question about balance being a father. We just talked about Christians being stuck in political parties. I answered that, Seti. I think, just research. Let's see. Okay, here's a good question by Simone Siv. She says, were you bad at rapping and producing at first and got better? I was bad. I was terrible initially. However, I got better, but it's because I consistently kept putting in the time, kept putting in the work. And yes, initially I was bad. I got better. I was good enough to be like the best amongst my peer group, but I had to put in the work. So, okay, I think that's it for the night, guys. Let's see if there's any more YouTube questions. Kevlar asked, the first video that I uploaded that went viral, I actually did a video on no one cares that you're talented, and it went viral on Facebook. That was the first video that kind of popped off for me. No one cares that you're talented, but here are 3 things you could do. So that went viral on Facebook. I think it's at like 1 million views. It did like 500,000 views in like a week or something crazy. It's an interesting question. Ruslan, how do you think the church could better address mental health? Okay, you guys aren't gonna like my answer to this at all. I think the church, take a sip of my bubbly. Okay, how do I think the church can better address mental health? Okay, I think the issue with the church is that depending on what denomination you come from, they either don't address it at all, or they over spiritualize it. And there's people that I know, there's people that I've talked to recently that think any type of mental health issue is really a spiritual issue. And they're like, yo, it's a spiritual issue. You need to not be bipolar because you have a demon, right? Like just wild stuff, like crazy loony bin theological stuff that I just do not rock with, right? And there's people that literally don't believe that mental health is like a thing. Like they just think it's all hyper spiritual. So I think the issue is the church, by and large, isn't addressing it at all, or they're going hyper spiritual with it, or some degree of just spiritualizing the issue, or they're going hyper natural with it, right? And so my issue with a lot of the mental health stuff is that before you go to either extreme and say somebody needs to be medicated and on pills, or somebody has a demon and needs it exorcised, you know what I'm saying? Two, I think, in my opinion, very extreme, is we don't do the common sense approaches of maintaining our body. Okay, we are the most sedentary we've ever been, right? We sit a lot. We sit down a lot. We don't move as much. We don't go outside as much. We're always on our phones, and we're always comparing ourselves to other people. That's a perfect recipe for just horrible mental health. You're sitting down, so you're not moving. Remember when you were a kid and you used to run around and go outside? Remember how good you felt, right? You just say you're sitting on your phone or you're sitting in class. Then you get this weird voyeuristic inside look into everybody else's life that's perfectly curated for Instagram and whatever social media you're on. So then you're thinking that like that's their real life. No, that's just their highlight reel for you. They're curating, they don't really care about you, they just want to flex and they want clout. So then you're comparing your life to someone's perfect life, and then you aren't taking care of yourself. You're eating crappy food, you're not sleeping, you're not drinking enough water. So if you're depressed or anxious, my opinion, I'm not a mental health expert, that might be your body's way of being like, hey homie, something ain't right, you need to fix it. I need you to move around. I need you to go outside. I need you to get some sunlight. I need you to go play. I need you to eat some freaking chicken and green vegetables. I need you to drink some water. I think a lot of our mental health issues can be really attributed to a lack of stewardship and a lack of taking care of our bodies. And then we wonder why depression is up, anxiety is up, suicide is up. Well, we're not really taking care of ourselves if we're honest about it. Now, I'm not saying you need to walk around here with a six-pack and, you know, be the most shredded guy on the planet. That's just what I want to be. You don't got to do that. I just want to do that, right? And why do I want to do that? I want to do that because I want to look the part so that when I open my mouth and I speak about something like this, you guys say, oh yeah, Ruslan knows what he's talking about. Look, he's shredded and he's in shape, right? That's really the only reason. It's like I want to have some authority to when I speak. Now, if we took care of ourselves, if we went to bed at a reasonable hour, if we went to bed around 10, got up around 6, right? Went to bed, woke up with the sunrise. That's really what should happen. It's called a circadian rhythm. Your body has a rhythm. Cortisol is released in your body right as the sun is rising. It's just in tune with the earth that way. I don't know why. God made us that way. You know, and if you actually pay attention to your own sleep habits, I guarantee you most of us are probably naturally waking up at around 5 or 5:30 and just rolling back over and going to sleep, right? But that's your body, your cortisol is being released. So if you get up with that cortisol is a stress hormone that's saying it's time to get up. It's time to do something. You know, and that's how we used to live, right? We used to rise with the sun. So I think 1, sleep. 2, cut out the processed food. If you're eating everything out of a box and through a drive-through, man, that's doing some hard damage to your body. It's putting you in a chemically imbalanced state. If you're addicted to sugar, it's putting you in a chemically, hormonally imbalanced state. The lack of discipline of making your own food is shooting dopamine levels. I just talked about it on my Instagram. Pleasure without work is terrible and dangerous for you. So if you're always just consuming quick foods, you're never having to prepare your own food, you're never having to sit down and speak over a meal. A lot of good things happen when you just sit down and talk, or you sit down by yourself, you eat by yourself, you read, you pray, right? Good things happen when you slow down and you sit and you eat. So the food that we're consuming, and then just not being active. We're not going outside, we're not playing, we're not running, we're not working out, right? We used to work out and play and have fun as kids, and we don't do any of that stuff now. And so that would be my solution. As I wish the church was addressing that stuff. It's not. Unfortunately, it's not. It's not addressing the issue beneath the issue, which is it's not just a spiritual issue, though mental health can be a spiritual issue. It's not just a mental issue. It's all the above. It's a physical, mental, social, societal issue that we need to address why we feel this way. And it's usually because we're not taking care of ourselves, and then we are comparing ourselves, and we're not really doing anything to be confident in, right? So if your life is, I just kind of coast and hang out, and you're not actually attaining anything, you're not developing a skill, you're not accomplishing anything, you're gonna feel like crap. And you probably should. I hate to say it, you probably should feel terrible because your body's saying, hey fool, go do something, go add something to the universe. My niece is looking at me like I'm crazy, but it's the real deal. If you don't feel good, there's probably a reason for it. So go do something, go create something, go get in shape, right? The whole fitness thing is just a metaphor, guys. It's just, if you can get in shape, you will build the confidence and understand the disciplines that it takes to succeed in other areas, right? Whether that's finishing college or learning how to play piano or whatever. You don't feel good about yourself because you ain't done nothing. You haven't accomplished squat. So you're wondering why you feel you got low self-esteem. You got low self-esteem because you have nothing to be esteemed for. You haven't done anything. So go do something. Go do something great. Go take some fly photos. Go outside. Go on a walk. Go hang out with somebody. Go bless somebody. Go serve somebody. Go feed the homeless. Go do something. You tell me you don't feel good after feeding the homeless? You don't feel good after feeding? What's wrong with you? Do something, and I promise you you'll feel better. Accomplish something and build that self-confidence in yourself. All right. That's it. We're done. Hopefully that wasn't too harsh. I tend to get a little passionate about these things. I went 17 minutes over. Thank you guys who stuck in there with us, and appreciate you guys. If you guys enjoyed this, like it, leave a comment below. You can start hitting that outro page. And be sure to go to kingsdreament.com. Pick yourself up some merch, some Outliers hoodies, some t-shirts. We got a merch drop Saturday, February 29th at Culture Barber Lounge in Oceanside, California. If you're anywhere near Oceanside, California, you need to be there. You need to be hanging out with us. We appreciate you guys for enjoying this live stream. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it wasn't too much. Thank you guys, and stay locked in for more.